Day 24. Welcome back to the returning viewers and a warm welcome to any new subscribers or people that are just clicking onto this video for the first time. My name is Tanya, I'm 52 and I live on the east coast of Scotland, and this is my video diary. I'm doing a 30-day challenge to get comfortable in front of the camera, sharing my life story to get comfort, because that's a topic I know fairly well. And the aim of this channel is for me to provide some hints and tips through my coaching and therapy practice that may help you on your transformation journey, self-reflect on my journey and what I'm learning as I am setting up the online business and using the tools myself personally, and also to create a tribe and a community where we can actually support each other using the comments below and sharing experiences. Hopefully the topics that I'm going to be covering off will resonate with the majority of you, and then you'll feel comfortable over time to actually share your personal experiences of what worked, what didn't work, what areas that you want some support for, and I can use that as content for future vlogs going forward. So as I mentioned, we're on day 24. We can almost like start seeing the finish line of this. So where I sort of left the story yesterday was I went and did Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins, the American transformation guru, was on my bucket list. I had bought one of his books many years ago, but I struggled to actually read it because it was just too much information for me to be able to absorb. And go back to one of the sayings that I've been referring to, the student wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for the teachings that Tony was actually sharing. But over the years, I sort of followed some of his kind of content online, and eventually I started listening to his CDs. He had a number of programs, and I started finding some benefit in those when I was doing them in bite-sized chunks. So 2018, I got to that point in my life where I was operating through my own personal business, contracting for other companies, and I was married in a fulfilling, happy relationship. But there was something missing. There was something not quite there for me. And I thought, well, the one thing that I've enjoyed over the years is doing more self-development and going on courses and participating and getting to know people that are on the same kind of wavelength as me. And because the kind of contracting that I was actually doing, I didn't have a big network of people that had been on personal development courses, because their kind of focus was more on their families and providing for them and also doing their kind of jobs, and that in itself can be quite stressful and time consuming because our focus as human beings can only be on certain things. And one of Tony's quote is, where focus goes, energy flows, and that is so very true. If you've got your kind of life, which I sort of like from the Mind Store for Life kind of course that I had done, it was the wheel of life that we had, and you had all different aspects. So you had your relationships with your family, your intimate partner, with your co-workers, finances, work, spirituality, how you treated your kind of assets and possessions that you had, and what were your kind of sort of like values. So there was many aspects of your life, but if you can't focus on all 10 or 8, however many you want to carve that wheel up into, and be a number 10 on every single one of them without sort of sacrificing something, you might need to sort of like focus 1 year on 1 or 2 aspects of the wheel, and then you can sort of move that out. So for me, I felt that relationships and work and everything was a very kind of high, probably 8 or 9 in that, because you can never get to 10. We sort of aim for that, but I truly believe there's always room for improvement, or the wheel starts expanding and then the kind of numbers sort of move further out. So from my kind of perspective, when it came to self-development, I felt that I was a wee bit stagnant, and probably because there were so many lessons that I needed to become more aware of and learn for what they truly were, I was starting to get ready in 2018. So I booked myself to do the Unleash the Power Within, which is a 4-day event that Tony pre-COVID was doing just purely in-person events, but they were massive. So it was down in London in the XL, and it was like 15,000 people. So it was almost like you were walking into a concert. The music was blaring, people were super excited. There was lots of merchandise on the way coming in, hence the t-shirt after I did the firework. And that 4-day experience, the in-person event, involved in day one breaking through limiting beliefs and almost feeling the fear and going for it anyway, and that is the fire walk that we ended up doing. Now I got a double whammy because I got to do the Tony Robbins event and also got to do a fire walk as well, because I had that on my bucket list as well. And I met some truly brilliant people from all different parts of the world. So it was a brilliant event. It was a really long event as well, because where the Mind Store for Life, it was a 9 to 5, 6-ish kind of time, and you probably had a lunch break and maybe a couple of kind of comfort breaks throughout the day. Tony Robbins goes for it. So the events tend to last, I think that the shortest day was about 13, 14 hours. The majority of them were probably closer to the 16 hours. And that was an Unleash the Power Within kind of event. And that was for 4 days. And I came away from that event absolutely buzzing and so energized, because I just feel I got so many insights and breakthroughs throughout the kind of event, and then sharing those experiences with other people and hearing their stories as well, it just fired me up even more. So needless to say, day 3, they were starting to promote other courses and events that they were actually doing. By day 3, I was like, sign me up, I want to do more of this. So I signed up to do a Date with Destiny, which some of you may have sort of seen the Netflix documentary, I Am Not Your Guru, and that was one that I had sort of seen prior to going to the event as well. But that is a 6-day event. Back before COVID, he would actually do the live events in Florida, Palm Springs. And I thought, well, brilliant. I've always wanted to go to Florida in the United States, so it's a perfect opportunity, some more stuff to come off the bucket list. And in addition to the Date with Destiny, I also did the Life Mastery and also the Wealth Mastery. Now, being a qualified accountant, I thought I knew pretty much everything that I needed to know for wealth, but it was absolutely amazing the amount of insight and different kind of perspectives that I actually got that really sort of propelled and helped me on my kind of financial freedom journey. So I ended up doing 3 more courses, events with Tony and his company, but I also signed up to do some coaching as well. So I wanted to be coached to make sure that the momentum and everything sort of like was hitting the mark, and I was actually making the progress that I wanted to make. And for 3 months after the event, I got the coaching started, and I started having every kind of 3 weeks, I would sort of touch base with the coach. But that was back when video, Zoom and Teams and all the kind of technology wasn't necessarily being prevalent at that point. And there was a policy within the kind of Tony Robbins kind of coaching part of the business, where they weren't, the kind of calls that you were having, they were audio calls. It wasn't a visual call, and it certainly wasn't a face-to-face kind of interaction with the coach. And for me, that just didn't resonate. And after probably, we did the 3 months, and then after that, things started getting really busy work-wise, and then eventually there was COVID that sort of like came into play as well. So I ended up not doing all the kind of coaching package that I had actually paid for, simply because things got busier in the story that I was starting to tell myself, because obviously it was starting to become uncomfortable. Some of the kind of transformation changes that were starting to come to the surface, and the easiest thing for me to do was go back into survival mode, which was like, no, I don't feel confident to sort of say that this coach and I don't fully align, or I need to try someone else to see if there's a better connection and resonance, to see whether we could actually do something different. Because for me, I am a visual person, and even though audio is like a sense of mine that is, I love to listen to people, but I love to see their kind of facial reactions and body language, because it's 70% of it is everything else other than auditory and the words that you're actually saying. So it is really important. So for me, the kind of coaching didn't really hit the mark, which is ironic considering that in 2023, I ended up going and doing a coaching certification myself, but that is with using Zoom or the kind of online technology, so you can visually interact with people. And now people are more, post-COVID, are more comfortable being in front of a camera. Maybe not necessarily full comfort zone, because I know that I'm definitely still in the learning kind of zone. But through work, most people are having to go on camera for certain meetings. And as a result, people maybe don't necessarily enjoy it, but it's something that they have done. So it's not something that is so unfamiliar that it brings immense fear for them. So I know that coaching and online coaching can actually be really effective too, because people can be comfortable in their own home environments where they're not having to then commute between a session and then going home. So you're not having to sort of like contend with those aspects. So that's some of the kind of benefits of the kind of online coaching that we'll explore in further vlogs further down the line. But coming back to the Tony Robbins experience, so I did the Unleash the Power Within in April, did a little bit of coaching over the next kind of 3-4 months, and then I ended up doing the Date with Destiny in December 2019. And then because of COVID, the events no longer were face-to-face, they became virtual, which worked even better for me, because having to travel from Scotland over to the States, you needed much more time rather than just go for the event. So it worked out great. So I did the other 2 events in 2021, which was probably the right time for me to sort of like do the Life Mastery and the Wealth Mastery at that point. I personally have done a lot of the kind of free challenges as well that Tony and Dean Graziosi and Tony's team have sort of like delivered over the years throughout the kind of pandemic, and I found them of great value. But I do also appreciate that his energy, his constant enthusiasm, his kind of always striving to do the best, and the best is always, the bars keep on rising, that can be relentless. And I can actually see that in some instances that can lead to burnout. So for me, it's about bringing certain elements of what Tony teaches that I really do resonate with and strongly sort of incorporate in my day-to-day life, but then bring in some other kind of practices. And I'll cover off a little bit more about the kind of Marissa Peer journey that I've done through rapid transformational therapy coaching training as well, that I did in 2023 and 2024. So different kind of approaches and different ways to bring pretty much the same message, but the way that you can actually tap in and sort of like incorporate those changes within your life can be different. So Tony's very much trying to hit to the emotion, but he's still dealing with the conscious mind, which logically and from a rational kind of perspective, it all makes sense. And yes, I want to do it, and I'm fired up, and I'm going for it, and I'm taking massive action. However, going back to another quote that Marissa sort of like refers to, is that in a battle between logic and emotion, emotion will win every time. And this is where emotion is linked to what you've sort of like the stored beliefs and thoughts that you've got in your subconscious mind. And this is where I was starting to repeat some of those same patterns. Even logically, Tony, what he was saying sort of made perfect sense. I wasn't then following through in 2021 and 2022, all the things that he was sort of like teaching. And it was until 2023 that I tapped into the subconscious to figure out, this is the underlying beliefs that I really need to shift, because I was blind to them. I just wasn't aware of them at the time. So I definitely thoroughly enjoyed the experience, and I would highly recommend it to anyone that's embarking on a transformation journey. Tony tends to do a lot of challenges either at the beginning of the year and then maybe mid-year. So watch out on Facebook and on YouTube and on LinkedIn. He tends to post when he's going to be doing these kind of free challenges, and it's about him giving you immense value in a 2-3 hour window over a 3 to 5 day kind of period, and then it gives you a flavour of what's yet to come. But the one thing that I'm going to sort of like finish up when I sort of wrap up this kind of video for today is one of the questions that I ask my clients before we embark on their transformation kind of working together arrangement is, are you ready at this moment in time embarking on your transformation journey for your relationships to change? Because you may want to do a transformation journey to enhance your relationships, and in other instances, it's your relationships that are making you unhappy and you want them to change, and that's why you're embarking on it. But the ultimate kind of goal is you are the one that's going to transform. The people around you, unless they also go on the same transformation journey, they are not going to necessarily change. They might feel inspired to make some changes because of the changes that they're seeing you take put into place in the massive action that you're taking. So you may cause inspiration, but there's also the likelihood that there could be a bit of kind of resentment and a bit of conflict in the relationship because they don't want to change. They are happy with the way that their life is. They're happy to be unaware and to not become aware of their blind spots, because that keeps them in that kind of happier place, whether in the kind of pain and pleasure spectrum, depending on where they are. They don't want to shift from that. So it's just one of those things for you to be fully aware when you're embarking on your transformation journey, that your relationships will change because you're changing. And every time I'm posting a new vlog, every day that I'm using a new tool or even an existing tool, but I'm going a level deeper, I'm becoming a different version of Tanya. Hopefully it's becoming a better version of Tanya because you're learning and growing through the experience, but that will also have a knock-on impact in your relationships. And going back to the kind of Peter Crone quote, where life will present you with circumstances and people to reveal where you are not free, this is where your kind of transformation could ultimately have impact in the relationships that you have. So it's just something for you to bear in mind, that this is something that will happen. It's absolutely going to happen, whether it's positive or whether it's not as positive, is depending on multiple factors. So I'm not wanting to create fear in any kind of way, my voice breaking there using that word fear, but at the same time, it's just sort of like stating a fact that things will sort of change. Okay, on that point, I'm just going to wrap it up. Thank you for sticking with me. You've made it to day 24, so thank you very much. If you've got any kind of thoughts, feedback, anything you want to share, please add to the comments below, and go out and seize the day. Have the most amazing day. And remember, you've always got choices in life, so choose wisely. Until tomorrow, bye-bye.